Another major event during this time period is World War One. Now, World War One, for our sake, we are only involved for roughly year and a half, 2 years. We're not in it, and we don't see the devastation that the rest of Europe saw during this time. So, what we're going to focus on in this, we have the major causes of the war, and then why the U.S. got involved. So, first of all, militarism, which sounds just like it does. That is building up your military. The idea of an alliance system. If you're in an alliance, let's say that France and Russia are in an alliance together and somebody attacks Russia, well, because France is their ally, they're going to go help Russia in their war. So there was this real complex system of alliances during this time where if one person got in trouble or got attacked by another country, then their allies are going to come to their need. Another one is nationalism, and again, that's that idea with the patriotism, and led to rivalries between a lot of these countries. Imperialism is a big one. Again, we want to have colonies. We want to have, in this time, it's going to be Asia, Africa is the bigger areas because you want those resources and you want those markets. So another big thing in this time that really starts and triggers the war is the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in 1914. He is the heir to the Austria-Hungarian Empire, which is a pretty big country during this time. And due to Austria and Serbia, which is where the assassin was from, and arguments about avenging for the assassination, that kind of stuff, led to countries declaring war on each other, which of course brought in their allies. Now let's look at reasons why the U.S. got involved in the war. One reason is going to be the Sussex Pledge, and this was basically saying that Germany pledged not to sink any more ocean liners without warning or giving help. So basically, no more sinking unless we, tell you first. And then we feel like later they kind of break that. Another reason is what we call unrestricted submarine warfare, and this is where if they saw a ship out in the seas, the Germans would attack it, no questions asked. And one example is the Lusitania, which left from New York City to go to England. And, of course, most of the people that were on the ship didn't know that there was a lot of ammunition for the British in the ship. The Germans sank the ship and killed more than 1,000 passengers, but one of the problem was 28 of those passengers were Americans. So you killed Americans. Big mistake. Another reason why we get involved with the war is our ties with Great Britain. We are helping them quite a bit before the war with supplies. Not with troops, but we are helping them, and also just the cultural ties to Britain. Probably the catalyst that got America involved is going to be the Zimmermann telegram, and this was a message from Germany to Mexico. And in this letter, they say to Mexico that if Mexico helps Germany fight the United States, then Mexico would get all the land that they lost in the U.S.-Mexican War. So that means California, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada. They would get all that land back if they would help Germany fight in the war. Well, we intercepted this telegram, and the telegram was actually printed in newspapers, and Americans were outraged, and this is one of the reasons why we ended up going to war with Germany. During the war, one of the main people you're going to hear about, one of the main Americans, is John J. Pershing. He is going to be the leader of the American Expeditionary Forces to fight with the Allies against the Central Powers. And this group, they are very influential in the Battle of the Argonne Forest. So one of the big things for the Battle of Argonne Forest is it's going to lead eventually to the surrender of Germans on November 11th, 1918. One of the big things that comes out of this war is we have new technology that's going to lead to a new kind of warfare that we weren't used to before. You're going to have machine guns that can shoot hundreds of rounds in a minute. You're going to have airplanes and tanks. And airplanes during this time are more for reconnaissance. They're not necessarily used for attacks and bombings like they are going to be in World War II. We also have mustard gas, which is going to be another major factor in the war. Because of all of these, this is going to lead to what we call trench warfare. Trench warfare is basically you dig trenches, and there are hundreds of miles of trenches, especially in France, and where the troops would hide and be protected from the mustard gas or the machine guns, or they couldn't move because airplanes would go and do reconnaissance runs and see where they were going. So because of this, you had men spending years in these trenches and getting shelled by artillery for hours a day, and because of being stuck in the trenches, they couldn't advance, and so you basically had a stalemate, and nobody really gained any territory during this time. So this is a whole new way of fighting that they're not used to, and this is how they adapted to this new kind of warfare.